cut to the chase. Let's find out exactly. Let's check the motives why Tom Osborne brought this kid back to the football team. Number one, he needs to win these next 3 ball games after this one. He's got Iowa State, Oklahoma, and Kansas. With his offensive line, his defense, and Tommy Frazier, his cousin can beat those 3 teams. All right, let's go to the next situation. He needs to win some more games to save his job, right? The guy's only won 229 games. He averages 10 wins a year. Forget that. He needs to win a national title. The guy has already won a national title. Maybe to Tom Osborne, a decent human being, maybe he did the right thing for a kid without a hidden agenda. Right. Maybe that's right.
Well, I agree that as good as Phillips is, he doesn't give them anything they need to win a national title. Given the fact that Nebraska's rushing is way up over last year's average when they had Phillips, and that Amon Green has blossomed, how, if at all, has it affected the team?
Well, the people in Nebraska I talked to this week said had Lawrence Phillips' situation plus these other distractions have had little effect on the football team. A couple of major reasons. Number one, Nebraska's team went through a similar situation last year. They lost their quarterback, Tommy Frazier, to an injury. They rallied around, they won a national championship. The national title is focused on this Nebraska team. Why? Alabama in 1978 and 79 is the only team to repeat. This football team doesn't want the distractions to keep them from being a team that won it twice in a row.
They've overcome a great deal of obstacles throughout the years. But, you know, when you look at this, the word you use, national championship, if you're a high school player, really before that, when you start playing ball, if you want to win a national championship, then you usually want to go to the University of Nebraska because they win titles at Nebraska. And those are the kind of players that overcome all these obstructions that they have to deal with right now. Tom Osborne is a leader. The players there want to win. That's why you can plug in an Amon Green right now, and you lose absolutely nothing from what Lawrence Phillips did on the field. That's why this hidden agenda deal is baloney. There was no hidden agenda there. They have great players at Nebraska.
Controversy will not go away, especially when Phillips returns next Saturday. We'll talk a lot more about players who are going to be calling him quarterback Rick Heisel. Nebraska's 95 team, almost as imposing as the 83 team that beat UCLA, with or without their #1 back. Back to Steve Cyphers now with more in this ballgame. Steve?
Chris, Lawrence Phillips returned to practice Tuesday, and when that one was over, Tom Osborne said he looked a little rusty. I doubt Nebraska's too concerned, though. They're 5-0 without Phillips, averaging more than 53 points a game. Suffice it to say, the Huskers have made the adjustment. At the time he was suspended, Lawrence Phillips had rushed himself to the front of the Heisman Trophy pack. 2 games, 354 yards, 7 touchdowns.
He was playing about as well as anybody we've had play here in a long time. And he had a chance to be the best ever, I think.
And you just don't have someone of his ability all of a sudden missing from your offense without seeing some consequences.
What consequences? All Nebraska's done without Phillips is continue to lead the nation in rushing at 427 yards a game.
How do we do it? We all know that we can play.
Especially Tommy Frazier, an option maestro whose direction this season has been his best in 4 years.
A great career here, is a truly experienced quarterback, and he's, for one, going to get you into the right play. And so we're not running a lot of dead plays out there on the football field where you don't have much of a chance for success. We should not get outnumbered a lot of the times at the hole.
I think I have to be unselfish. I think I have to be able to go out there and get the ball to every player, every guy who touches the ball in our system. I feel if I go out there and try to do everything by myself, then we're not going to be successful.
Always a threat on the ground, Frazier's added touch to his passing game. The result is 11 touchdowns and just 2 interceptions.
I finally realized that in order for us to even have a chance of repeating, that I'm going to have to be able to complete 55–60% of my passes.
But even without Phillips, the Huskers still feed off the I-back. 4 of them, all from Omaha. As a group, they average more than 8 yards a carry.
We just have depth at that position. We can't help it.
You don't, at the end of a game, chart who gets the most carries and who gets the yards.
Why should we? We're a winning football team. That's all that matters around here.
Clinton Childs and Damon Benning were backups last year. James Sims, the fastest Husker, was a redshirt in '94. While Amon Green was one of the most heavily recruited seniors out of high school.
You know, at times you have a guy maybe come through your system that you think is truly an exceptional athlete, and I think that Amon is one of those. I think Lawrence is one of those.
I mean, everything I'm doing surprised me. I mean, hard work-wise, I knew I was going to do that, but the time I got playing them and what I'm doing when I got that time out there on the field, it really surprised me.
But Green isn't doing this on his own. The offensive line is again a force. Despite losing 4 of 5 starters from their championship team, they have yet to yield a sack in 7 games.
We've got some talent there, some really serious talent in some of these young guys, and they're going to be even better down the road. That's what's scary.
We have linemen coming off the ball. We have receivers blocking downfield. We have a fullback that'll block you. So you're going to have a chance to move the football if you have a combination like that.
The combination and the chemistry changes next week when Lawrence Phillips returns, a return that directly affects his successful replacements.
You know, they've gotten used to quite a bit of playing time. Now Lawrence is coming back, how that's all going to fit, who's all going to get the playing time. We'll see when we get to that game that Lawrence plays in.
I mean, that don't bother me. I still got some years ahead of me, and I'm still learning, you know, the process of college football. So with him coming back, it doesn't bother me in no kind of way.
It's not a deal where he just goes through the motions at Iowa State and then he starts against Kansas. You know, he's got to prove he's the best back.
And doing that in November won't be as easy as it was in August.
Closing it out on the injury front, Colorado's healthy, and so is Nebraska. I-back Amon Green did have a sprained ankle and missed practice Monday, but he'll start this afternoon. And backup quarterback Brooke Beringer has had a knee problem in the last 2 weeks, but he's ready to go today in case Frazier goes down. Chris?
All right, Steve, emotional preparation for Colorado a factor. Last year, they did not match Nebraska's intensity. Rick Neuheisel taking a different approach. He's trying to low-key the game, but he will spring a surprise. The team will take the field in a very unconventional way. We can tell you it will involve a Samoan war drum. He wants his team to take their mind off the big game and relax if they can. Now, the problem the last couple of weeks has not been that Colorado's been too keyed up, so they've been a little flat.
I think that, you know, we hadn't gotten up for these last 2 games like we needed to, and I think that, you know, when we play the big games, when Colorado plays the big games, we never have a hard time getting up.
I think if you polled the ball players who are currently on the team, how they thought they played the last 2 times they played Nebraska, they wouldn't say that they haven't played their best, and that isn't something you want to say after you're playing a game of this magnitude.
Offense has certainly not played its best. The last 3 years against Nebraska, no touchdown passes. Last year on 3rd and 4th down combined, 0 for 15. The philosophy last year, Elliott Uzelak beat them at their own game, run it right at them, did not work. And Neuheisel said they got schemed last year, out-coached, and it's not going to happen this time, he says.
No, it won't work again this year. I tell you, if you're going to beat Nebraska, you got to throw the football. And Colorado will exploit the defensive weaknesses on pass defense of Nebraska better than any football team in the history of the Big 8. And the key to this is quarterback John Hetzler for Colorado. Now, if you'll notice him, he's got tremendous poise. He turns around and gets the ball right to different receivers. Great. But the thing about Colorado that impressed me is the fact that they can run after they catch the football. I really like that football team. Charlie McBride, the defensive coordinator of Nebraska, told me that this Colorado offense has as many weapons as the Florida State team that beat Nebraska 4 straight times.
Yeah, and you look at that. Ray Caruth is the kind of player that he's worried about. But in order for him to have a great game, I really believe that John Hetzler has to perform to the level that he did prior to the other games. Look at what he did against A&M and OU. Excellent, no interceptions, didn't put pressure on his defense. But since then, against Kansas and Iowa State, has not been as well, and he's had 3 interceptions. He's going against a Nebraska defense that is going to be outstanding. You compare them to last year, and they're very favorable there. Nobody's as good as what they had last year. Maybe they can get there, but the team speed, no big-time players on there, really gives Nebraska's defense that stingy reputation. In my mind, Nebraska is the only defense in the country that you might be able to say is dominating. They have a chance to dominate every opponent that they play.
Yeah, but Nebraska's got a defensive problem here. They're afraid to blitz, because if they blitz, they get the corners on an island one-on-one with Colorado. Goodbye, Charlie, they're gone. But the most important point here is the fact that the Nebraska coaches feel that Troutman, Henry, and Barnes are explosive runners, are dangerous, more dangerous than Rashaan Salaam when they get the football.
Yeah, but, you know, you consider that front 7 now. I think that's very important for Neuheisel to be on his P's and Q's in this ball game, to give the 3-step drive, get rid of the football. He can win through John Hetzler. They've got to get rid of the ball because Nebraska's front 7 is extremely quick, those timing patterns.
No doubt. Neuheisel doesn't want them playing tight, but they can't make the loose mistakes. They're on pace to break a 45-year-old record for penalties in the Big 8 Conference. You give the Huskers 100 yards, cheap, 5 first downs, and also the punts. I mean, Colorado, the most atrocious team in the country punting. They've had 4 of them blocked, and Terrell Farley, maybe the best guy at blocking punts for Nebraska, 2 already this year. He blocked 15 kicks at Independence Junior College last year. That is tremendous. Coming up, we'll pick this game.